The kitchen smelled of onions and burnt hope. Pete Lawson stood by the counter in his dim New Jersey apartment, the light flickering above his unshaven face. His shirt was wrinkled, his hands trembling as he sliced through another onion. He wasn't cooking, he was thinking. The pile of onion skins beside him, like his life layer after layer, peeled and discarded. He blinked hard, but tears still fell. Maybe it was the onion, maybe not. God, he whispered, his voice cracked. I thought you were done with me. This is the story of a man who discovered that salvation isn't a one-time event, but a lifelong process of being peeled. It's a story for anyone who's ever felt like a failure in their faith, wondering if God has given up on them. Let's rewind 15 years. We're in Dallas, Texas. Pete was a rough-edged guy, working construction by day and drinking his pain away by night. He'd grown up with the Bible in the house, but no real peace in his heart. One Sunday morning, his girlfriend Tasha dragged him to church. He didn't want to go, but he went. The preacher was young and bold, speaking with a fire that seemed to light up the whole room. Mid-sermon, he looked right at Pete, or at least it felt that way, and said, "You don't have to be perfect for God to use you. He'll take you just as you are, dirt, scars, and all." In that moment, something inside Pete broke. The man who never cried found himself walking down the aisle, dropping to his knees, and whispering, "Jesus, if you want me, I'm yours." He was saved. He thought that meant his old self would just vanish overnight. But he would soon learn, salvation isn't a light switch, it's a slow peel. The next few years were good, really good. Pete joined the worship team, trading beer bottles for Bibles. People started to respect him. He and Tasha got married and had a beautiful daughter, Lily. Life was stable, predictable, even churchy. He was a model Christian on the outside, but deep down, beneath that polished faith, his old habits weren't dead, just dormant. Pride, anger, and a need for control were sleeping giants. When Tasha started her own business and began earning more money, Pete felt threatened. Instead of talking about it, he masked his insecurity with sarcasm and silence. He stopped praying with the same heart. He started drinking again, telling himself it was just one beer to unwind. But one became 3, and 3 became 10. He was serving God on stage, but losing the battle with himself backstage. He was saved, but he wasn't surrendered. The night of his downfall came on a Sunday. The church was packed. The lights were bright. As the worship team tuned their instruments, Pete tried to drown the smell of whiskey on his breath with the mint. Midway through the second song, he stumbled. His words slurred. The music fell apart. The silence was deafening. After the service, Pastor Greg pulled him aside, his face etched with concern. "Pete, brother, are you drinking again?" Pete's pride flared like a wildfire. "Man, I'm fine. I don't need you judging me." He stormed out before his pastor could even reply. The night was cold, and his heart felt even colder. He sat in his truck outside a liquor store, staring at his reflection in the rearview mirror. "How did I get here again?" He clenched the steering wheel, his knuckles white, and he cried a deep, aching cry that shook his soul. And somewhere inside, a quiet voice spoke, "Because I'm not done peeling yet, Peter." He didn't understand it then. The next day, Tasha packed a bag for herself and Lily, and left. The silence in the house was unbearable. 2 months later, Pete checked into New Dawn Recovery Center in Ohio. He arrived angry at God, at the church, at Tasha, but mostly at himself. The first few nights were brutal. No alcohol, no music, no distractions. Just silence, and the painful awareness of the man he'd become. One evening during a Bible study, the counselor read from Luke 22, the story of Peter's denial of Jesus. And when the rooster crowed, Peter went outside and wept bitterly. Pete froze. That story felt like a mirror. He was that Peter, bold in his faith, loud in his worship, but weak in his secret battles. For the first time, he wasn't crying because he lost his family or his reputation. He was crying because he had wounded the heart of God. He fell to his knees right there in the group session and prayed, "God, I've been singing about you, preaching about you, but I never really let you peel me. Do it now, even if it hurts." The counselor knelt beside him and whispered, "That's the layer where healing begins. Rehab wasn't an instant fix. It was slow, painful, gut-wrenching honesty. Pete started journaling, attending group sessions, and confronting the deep roots of his addiction, feelings of rejection, deep-seated shame, and that toxic need for control. Every single revelation was another layer of the onion being peeled away. He wrote one night, "Salvation isn't God changing what I do. It's Him changing who I am. One layer at a time." 6 months later, Pete graduated from rehab. He was sober, not perfect, but finally free. The first person he called was Tasha. She didn't say much, but she did say this: "Lily prays for you every night." That broke him all over again, but this time, the tears were different. They were tears of hope. Years passed. Pete stayed sober. He got a job as a counselor at the very same rehab center that had saved his life. He wasn't on a stage with the guitar anymore. He didn't need one. He found his true purpose in the quiet places, praying with broken men, leading devotionals in small rooms, and mentoring those who felt as lost as he once did. One night, a young man named Chris came in trembling, hopeless, a ghost of a person. "I've done too much, Pete," he said. "God's done with me." Pete just smiled, a kindness in his eyes that only comes from walking through fire. He walked to the center's kitchen, grabbed an onion, and handed it to Chris. "Ever cut one of these?" Chris nodded. Pete began to peel the onion, slowly, layer by layer. Every time you let God into another part of your heart, the bitterness, the fear, the pride, He peels it away. And yes, it stings. It burns. It makes you cry. But He doesn't stop until He reaches the core, the place where you finally see yourself the way He does. Tears welled up in Chris's eyes. "Does it ever stop hurting?" Pete's smile was gentle. "No, but every tear just means He's still working." One winter night, Pete sat alone in his small apartment, his old guitar in his hands. He quietly strummed a few chords and began to sing, the words flowing like a prayer. "Peel me, Lord, until there's nothing left but you." He thought about Peter from the Bible, the fisherman who fell so hard, denied so publicly, and wept so bitterly, yet still became the rock on which the church was built. He finally realized that his story wasn't one of failure, but of formation. Salvation wasn't a finish line he had crossed. It was a lifelong construction site. God was still building, still peeling, still shaping him. He whispered through his own tears, "Lord, I finally get it. Salvation isn't one big miracle, it's a million little moments where you refuse to give up on me." A profound peace washed over him. The peeling had become his healing. Eventually, Pete and Tasha reconciled. It wasn't a fairy tale romance overnight, but forgiveness opened the door. He visited Lily often, and every time she hugged him, he felt another layer of shame melt away. He even started a small YouTube ministry, calling it Layer by Layer, helping others find grace beneath their own failures. His very first episode opened with these words: "If salvation was a fruit, I'd say it's an onion. Every layer hurts, but every tear brings you closer to the heart of God." So I want to ask you, what layers of your heart is God trying to peel back today? Have you been mistaking His conviction for condemnation? What if your tears aren't a sign of weakness, but proof that He's still working on you? Salvation isn't a doorway you step through just once. It's a road you have to walk every single day. It's peeling back the layers of fear, shame, pride, and pain until the tender, Christ-shaped core of your soul is revealed. And even when it stings and burns your eyes, remember that God keeps peeling because He loves what He sees underneath. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content like this. We'll see you next time.